Listen up, everyone. They've announced that the technical regulations are changing for next season. Now, there's a risk a lot of our hard work could be undone if we're not careful, so let's figure out how to mitigate this. Drivers, take a look at the developments we have and let us know what you want to invest in protecting. All right, everyone, let's get on top of this.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 My Career Mode here on the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. Today we are taking on Azerbaijan as we continue the final bits of this 2020 pandemic season. As you heard it at the very beginning of the episode, as we have confirmed regulation changes coming in next season. Finally that little cutscene, although we already knew it was coming as we come into this weekend, and this is going to be an exciting one as well. We've got some news this weekend that Kimi Räikkönen, who just announced retirement a few episodes ago, well, his replacement has been announced, and that is going to be Ferrari prospect Robert Schwartzman, that will be behind the wheel of the Alfa Romeo, replacing Räikkönen next season for the 2021 season. We still have a lot of silly season to take shape. The rumor is that Haas, both drivers, are retiring as well, Grosjean and Magnussen both, so expect to see a new lineup with as well another Ferrari prospect expected to be in one of those rides of Mick Schumacher potentially for the 2021 season. We've got a lot of excitement, to say the least, on the way here. Of course, we as well have the George Russell situation that has to be sorted out, and we still don't have an idea of what Mercedes and Toto Wolff's plan there is. Is he going to keep him at Williams? Is he going to move him up? We have no idea. We were in the news as well this weekend. We have had some run-ins with some drivers as of late, and we were asked by Natalie Pinkham my response to how I've been raced by a few drivers, including Räikkönen and Albon, in recent races, and here's what I had to say.
Yeah, Natalie, I mean, what can you do? These guys, I think they're just a little bit flustered that this rookie's come in and he's racing hard and he's not backing down. So, if I'm on the receiving end of some of these incidents, it is what it is, but I'm not going to change anytime soon.
Now, other drivers have mentioned, including actually notably Pierre Gasly, actually brought up that he said, hey, guys like Gary Owen, or rookies like Gary Owen, we're going to race him just like he races us, and if that means there's contact, so be it. As we come through into Q1 for this weekend now, and we're fresh off of our home race for the team last episode in France, and we scored a career best 5th place finish, and that was fantastic. Of course, it didn't quite work out for our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, Lewis Hamilton with the mechanical failure brought Valtteri Bottas back into the conversation for the championship. Lando Norris picks up his second win of his Formula One career in just his second full-time season. They've both been in rain races as we come through into Q2 now, and actually happened to avoid Carlos Sainz in the McLaren. Fortunately, didn't really cost me any time. He wasn't the only one I had to avoid. Well, of course, it's going to be Charles Leclerc of all people, but actually he gets out of my way and doesn't hold me up whatsoever. So thank you, Leclerc, for being nice to me finally, as we've now gone, a good 3-4 races, it feels like, without running into him, so that's been a positive. But we've had our run-ins now with Räikkönen, we've had a run-in with Albon, and as we come through to Q2, I went 15th place. And I was like, okay, that's obviously not ideal. So we set another lap here, trying to find a bit more pace. We weren't in the top 10 there in Q1, if I remember correctly. So I knew the pace wasn't quite there. And sure enough, we crossed the stripe, and I only go 14th. That was all I had. That was it for me. And yeah, we're going to start this Grand Prix from 14th place. Meanwhile, my teammate of Ricciardo in P7 just didn't have the speed that I wanted in qualifying as well. Magnussen is out alongside Gasly, Kvyat, and Carlos Sainz. Let's get ready to hit the grid here on Sunday.
A warm welcome to all of you watching at home to today's Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and a race that in its short history has already proven no stranger to drama. A 4th row start is just about as likely to give you a podium as a pole position would. And remember, in 2017 and 2018, both Lance Stroll and then Sergio Perez took surprise podiums here. Baku City Circuit then, an unpredictable 3.7-mile track around the streets of the Azerbaijan capital. 20 turns for our drivers to navigate today, including the infamous Turn 8, one of the tightest and most challenging corners of the season. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the Rainmaster. That was a solid result in their last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc and Albon, Stroll, Vettel, Norris and Carlos Sainz, Gasly, Verstappen, the Rainmaster and Magnussen, Grosjean, Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi and George Russell, Kvyat. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
It's not been an easy weekend so far. We've been in headlines, we've had some comments made about us, and now we take on Azerbaijan. It's gonna rain right at the tail end of this Grand Prix. I am going to start on mediums. I don't think that it's going to rain early enough to warrant starting on it hard and then racing to the rain. So yeah, we'll start on mediums. Max Verstappen with a 12th place starting position there due to grid penalty right there in front of us on the soft compound tires. So we got Magnussen, Grosjean lined up right behind us as we just wait confirmation that they're both going to be out of a ride at the end of this season. But we pull up to the grid and we're ready to race here from the 13th position. Moving up one spot due to grid penalties here now as Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas. This 1v1 Mercedes Championship battle boils over into Azerbaijan. The Baku City Grand Prix is going to be underway. We're racing here in the streets of Baku now as it's a decent get-go. Verstappen gets covered off by the McLaren, and it's Hamilton, Bottas 1-2 right off the bat. Sergio Perez up there, my teammate of Ricciardo in 4th position. Just behind him, you got fellow Canadian there of Lance Stroll, followed by one of the Ferraris now as well. Both Ferraris in the top 10 to start this Grand Prix. It's not been a great season for them as they look to bounce back for 2021, and they are heavily going to rely on regulation changes on the way now as Ricciardo settles in that 4th position on those soft compound tires. As for myself, settled in behind Verstappen. We didn't gain anything, we didn't lose anything. Now we stay dead even in 13th position behind the Dutchman as we head down in towards one of the oddly tricky kind of sections of this course right here. This sweeping left-hander, then you go to the 90-degree right-hander. Very simple, but it can sometimes catch you off guard, and it's really easy to miss your apex on the left-hander, and if you miss that apex, you're going to miss the right-hander as well. As we come to the end of lap number 1, Valtteri Bottas actually had gotten the lead. That's the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly here in P11 just in front of Max Verstappen as we wait for Verstappen to be able to go by him as we continue on here to turn number 2. Just kind of settled in here, waiting for the right opportunities. Of course, no DRS yet. Got to wait another lap for that as we come through the castle section right up against the barriers there on both sides of the car. Now you've really got to push the limits here in Baku if you want to maximize the pace in this car. Now to lap 3, DRS enabled. Verstappen going to go the long way around Pierre Gasly. They avoid contact. Gasly's on hards, Verstappen's on softs. Should be a pretty easy pass, even discounting, of course, just the machinery advantage that Red Bull has. Now Gasly going to get caught lacking through turn 2. Now wheel to wheel, we both got DRS. Verstappen lacking the DRS, and now Gasly's going to lunge one up the inside into the next corner of Verstappen. I slip and slide. Gasly stays ahead, so we do not gain there, but I know we've got the pace to get by this AlphaTauri here. And a lap later, lap 4, DRS in my favor. Verstappen's gotten out of DRS range on Gasly, so now Gasly is a sitting duck here. We'll go to the right side, wheel to wheel, try to save a little bit of battery, but Gasly's going to lunge one back up the inside into turn 3. He runs wide. He runs into the side of us and damages our front wing moments after he mentioned in the media that he was going to race me the same way he races others. He drives into the side of us and knocks off the end plate.
I've got damage, I got a pit. What a clown, man. I mean, half the grid is just idiots here.
We need to get to the pit lane right now. When we come to the end of lap 4, we get to the pits. We're going to put on a front wing, of course, and hard compound tire. So I was really hoping that the damage wasn't going to be enough to warrant having to pit, but it was costing me a big amount of time right off the bat. So unfortunately, we got to come in and we got to get a new wing.
Owen again on the receiving end of some contact today.
It's obvious the grid doesn't like him. He races hard and they are pushing back. I don't blame them, but I also don't blame Owen.
You hear the commentary booth talking about a Martin Brundle, Crofty as well. I honestly don't think this is warranted. You know, Raikkonen, Albon was warranted. That was kind of a 50-50 deal in France, but Raikkonen blindsided us to put us in the barrier in Sochi. We come to here, I'm racing Gasly clean. I feel like I've raced Gasly clean all season, and he just drives it off into turn 3, misses the apex, runs a bit wide, and, well, of course, I was there to get hit. So, I mean, it has just not been ideal. Now, as we've got, actually, there was yellow flags right there on the front straightaway. Virtual safety car. We got a VSC on the track, and it's Lewis Hamilton, who's had a big moment. He's lost control and knocked the front wing off as Bottas goes to the lead. Hamilton's gonna have to pit. Hamilton comes in for mediums and a new wing. This is big for the championship, as now the VSC would end very quickly. We would get back going. Hamilton's back out on the track, still well out in front of me, but that is going to be big for the race against him and his teammate Valtteri Bottas. Now, as we continue on, asking my vehicle condition here at this point, I'm worried about everything on this car because it just wasn't driving great anymore, and I was just hoping that things are going to work out here, and I'm not quite sure what the weather is going to do, but either way, this is certainly not an easy race for us now that's in store. Bottas makes his pit stop. Leclerc's coming in. We've got the racing points coming in. Some drivers going a little bit long here, including the McLaren of Carlos Sainz, who leads the way. But after the pit stops, obviously, Bottas has a now lead over Lewis Hamilton. And once this nets out, Bottas should be leading this race instead of running P2. Hamilton is going to be who knows where. I mean, he still might be in the top 3, honestly, as it stands right now. Actually, looking at the track map, Bottas has run down Sainz for the lead, who's still yet to pit. And Hamilton, sure enough, is actually, even after destroying the front wing, he's going to be a net P2. He's just going to be considerably far behind Bottas. But the question is now, can Hamilton make it to the end of this race on his tires? I would assume yes, because I can go to the end on these hards. And we are running down drivers now. After everyone's made their pit stops, Grosjean, Russell, they come in. We're actually going to come out in front of them. But now things are settling out, and we are within a few seconds here of Antonio Giovinazzi. His future still to be determined with Alfa Romeo for the 2021 season, but we're basically halfway through this Grand Prix, and we are reeling these guys in. Norris on fresh tires, struggling to get through traffic at this point in time, and now we've got a chance to gain some track position. But look up, you see the skies overcast. The rain is on the way. It's definitely going to rain before too long here now, as Sainz is really trying to stretch this thing out. We're going to go up the inside into turn 3 on Giovinazzi, who doesn't leave a lot of room. We take it there into now the 15th position as we continue to just try and claw our way forward. And now the only way our race is really going to get saved is by, this staying green, because I don't necessarily want to see rain at this point. Unfortunately, that's what we're getting, because I think we're going to be at a disadvantage if the track gets a little bit damp because of the tire situation. Our tires are a lot more worn. We've got yellows actually in front of us. It's an AlphaTauri. It's not Gasly. I wish it was, but it's Kvyat who's got a mechanical failure, and for the first time of this career mode, a safety car is deployed. We've got a full course safety car. That's going to bunch everybody back up, and that I'm okay with. Now I'm like, okay, you know what? That's pretty good. Lewis Hamilton actually pits under safety car and comes out in the 10th position, and it would cycle us through into P12, and now it's going to be Valtteri Bottas out in front for this restart. We're going to be just behind Norris. Ricciardo's another one that pitted. He's behind myself as well. Carlos Sainz eventually is going to hopefully come into the pits. He's still actually leading. I said Bottas is out in front. That's not true. We've still got Sainz commanding this field, but it looks like he might actually try to stretch this. So you got as well Raikkonen up there. This is going to be interesting. Hamilton's got some work to do. He's got to navigate his way through the field, and we'll get ready to go back green here just a few laps after the safety car. Now coming to lap 19, we are back underway. The rain is falling, but it's not wet enough quite yet. The team wants me to pit again. Norris with a big lunge up the inside of Hamilton, and Albon catches them both off guard. We are slipping immediately all over the place right there out of turn number 1, and that is a concern now as we roll through turn 2. Norris, look at him, wheel to wheel with good friend Alex Albon. Can't quite complete the pass. The Red Bull stays ahead. Hamilton fights back. Now we've got a little bit of pressure from the Haas of Magnussen, but I drained my battery just a little bit there to keep myself comfortably in front as we head down into turn 3. Norris and Hamilton wheel to wheel. Hamilton goes back through. He's back into P10. As you can see me counter steering there, the slide of this car, and it would only get worse. I was starting to struggle massively with the track very slightly dampening and my tires being a lot older than other drivers around us. You can see the front tires are not heating up at all, and I just could not match what anybody else was doing. Close moment right there with Magnussen, who tried to pick the nose up the inside. Raikkonen and Gasly now into the pits as well. Sainz finally pits from the lead. Valtteri Bottas is out in front with 7 laps to go. Hamilton is moving his way forward. He's now past Alex Albon, and he is gaining track position to limit the damage. Ricciardo is going to get past me here on the run into turn 3 for the 9th position. He got past Magnussen. He got past myself. I didn't make it a challenge because you can see what I'm dealing with. I just don't have the pace, and when I try to match their pace, I'm slipping and sliding. I'm going to pit on the end of lap 20 because it's the only option I have. I am dropping multiple seconds per lap, and we are going to take a risk and hope that it gets wet because we've still got coming to 6 laps to go. The rain continues to fall. We're going to pit, and we're going to opt for a set of inters and hope that we get a miracle here and the track gets wet within the next lap or 2. So we're going to come in, and this is a super bold strategy call, but we're going to put the inters on. The track is not an intermediate shape currently, but we're just, like I said, hoping the rain falls at a rate to where within a lap or 2, we will be at that intermediate position. As now we're going to hopefully come out right here with Giovinazzi. Now we might actually be in front of him. It's going to be close. He gets around us there on the exit of turn 1. So with the last car running, we're immediately going to be measured up against the Alfa Romeo. Now DRS enabled, of course, basically tells you that it's not time for inters, and I was dropping like a rock still. 3 seconds back now from Giovinazzi on lap 21 through the castle section. Clearly, the track's just not ready for a wetter tire, and I was hanging on for my life, but at this point, what's the point in pitting? So I just stay out and commit and hope that something changes quickly, but it wasn't happening. Now 5 seconds back, and this all roots back to the very beginning of the race with, of course, Gasly and that contact. That is what ends up putting us in this scenario long term, and very frustrating to say the least. Now as we come towards the end of lap 22, now 8 seconds basically the gap to Giovinazzi as Bottas continues to try and hang on for the win here in Azerbaijan. Hamilton's already up to like 4th as we come to the final handful of laps. He has fresh tires. He might actually get to Valtteri Bottas before this is over as we lose control into the barrier, and we've crashed out of this race.
I'm done. I've lost it. Completely destroyed. I'm sorry.
Race over. We've crashed ourselves out. That's going to be on record our first DNF, and my goodness, after the high point of a career best result of 5th in France for the team's home race, we hit it with a career low to follow directly after, and honestly I feel like half the grid's going to be happy. And it's not Valtteri Bottas that won the race. Lewis Hamilton would, in fact, run him down and pass him. So Hamilton goes from, what, 10th with less than 10 lap to go, restart and drives through the grid and wins the race. Bottas P2, Perez in 3rd, another podium there for the Mexican driver. But Hamilton, I mean, that's a commanding drive and a half right there. Wrecks himself, fixes the car, gets back out there, goes run down Bottas and beats him. I mean, what else can you say? That's the biggest flex of the season right there, and that is going to really spice up this championship battle. Sainz even rebounds to P5 after he had to pit way later after the safety car. Ricciardo ends up 4th, and I wonder if there was a simulation issue or something with the reason Hamilton won and Sainz had a good result. I really don't know. But you can see in the Constructors' Championship it's already locked up between Mercedes and Ferrari, but Hamilton now has a 12-point advantage over Bottas with just a handful of races to go. Leclerc back by 114 as he's in a fight with Lando Norris. I'll see you guys in the next one. It's actually Suzuka Short. We're back in Japan. I'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.